I'm really a superstar. Chapter 1. The World After Being Altered. Beijing. The morning of the second day. At home, Zhang Ye, who had just woken up, was still wondering about the dream from last night. As he yawned, he switched on the television so that he could watch the news. Suddenly, he realized that there was an additional silver ring on his left pinky. It was clearly not something that belonged to him. He tried as hard as he could take it off, but to it was to no avail. Not only that, but when he rubbed the surface of the ring, a touchable virtual screen suddenly appeared. It was written in the same font as the messages in the dream. It said, Game ring initialized. New player incentive package, randomly changing existing world background, is in the preparation for augmentation, counting down. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Incentive package augmentation initialization. Below that, Zhang Ye saw an alarming scene. The HTC phone that he had thrown on the bed began twisting and strangely changed shape. Even the brand change and TCC was engraved on it instead. One of the two pirated Xu Zimo poem collections placed by the window still suddenly disappeared, while the other became Cheng Tianmo poems collection. He could not notice all the changes, as many things within his house were undergoing changes. What alarmed Zhang Ye the most were the changes on the television. The Changho branded television turned into the Feitian brand, which he had never heard of, and the main thing was the content being broadcast on the television. Mango's TV new variety show, Glittering Radiance, breaks 1% viewership. Wu Bang's latest movie, White Maiden, breaks 500 million in the box office. Heavenly Queen Zhang Yuanqi's new song filled once again. She will focus on the film industry from now on. Yesterday, the work of the world famous artist Dick Blue Sky was auctioned off in America. Many people in the entertainment circle dedicated songs to the most influential heavenly king of film of 22nd century, Chen Wei-shi's 10th anniversary memory concert. Heavenly King Shui teared up on the spot while singing. Zhang Ye looked at all of this for 10 minutes in a state of shock. He still do not understand what has just happened. How did the television and cell phone change brands? Heavenly Queen Zhang Yuanji? When was there a Heavenly Queen named Zhang Yuanji? And the 10th anniversary memory concert? Where did this Chen Wei-shi come out from? How could he have not heard of it? Zhang Yuanji? Could it be that Zhang Ziyi has changed her stage name? Was Chen Wei-shi Eason Chen's new name? That can't be right. Eason Chen is still alive? What sort of movie was White Maiden? Was it a film by Yan Song? Oh, fucking is that? Oh, when did the FD did he start filming film movies? Zhang Ye rushed over the bed in panic to open the curtains. He saw everything outside changing. The two old trees by the road had disappeared. Replacing them was a flower bed. A high-rise building far in the distance had turned into a shorter building, with only 6 floors left, and not only had a few buildings that were all regionally grey in color suddenly changed position. Even the color of the stairs has changed to brownish white. Ding! Inceptive augmentation has been completed. Note: the real-world backgrounds has been changed into theoretical balance. Zhang Ye face one pure. He went up that unknown brand phone and examined it. Date and were right. Today was the day 2 months after he had graduated from college. After flipping through a few pages of his contacts, he purposely called a few people. His close friends were still the same. How could the changes in the surrounding be explained? Also, what was this game ring on his hand? Had the game ring really altered reality? Zhang Ye could not believe it. As he switched on his computer to check on internet, the more he browsed, the more frightened he became. It has changed. Everything has changed. There was no one in the show hosting industry named He Jung or Sina. The music industry no longer had people like Eason Chen or Jackie Chong. The film industry no longer had people like Fen Xiang Geng, Sun Hong Lei, and etc. In China and in foreign countries, people like Qin Baizi or Pablo Picasso no longer existed in the world of calligraphy or painting. The Demaison Peduput, Moyang's novel, Beethoven's piano pieces, the movie Transformers, the variety songs, the show, variety shows, The Voice of China, the famous painting Mona Lisa, they were all gone. Seeing all these things being randomly changed by unknown game, he wondered if this were the game reward he obtained as a solo player. However, how did reality become a game? And what sort of game was this? Contra or Super Mario? Should he use his head to smash off the wall, causing a small magical mushroom to burst out? Or which could be make him even bigger? Of course, there were things that did not change. Some important historical figures, world pattern and social environment have not changed. The Master Kong instant noodles on the table were still the same. LE was still a world famous brand. A lot of things have not been modified. Was this so-called randomness? Something supernatural have happened? What have happened? At this moment, thumbs were heard. Someone outside the door was knocking on his door. The knocks were quite loud and were definitely done by hammering the door with lots of strength. Zhang Ye guessed who it was and pretended not to hear it. After the knock a few times, the clicking of his keys could be heard and the door was suddenly opened. Zhang Ye looked at the person who came in. He was thinking that even though the world has changed, the landlady was still the same landlady. A woman in her 30s walked over. She looked very beautiful. Sometimes the two words very beautiful were very hard to use in describing her. For example, she had clearly just washed her hair. Her head was still wrapped in a white towel, but her beauty, which could overthrow states and cities, could not be concealed. Her figure was exceptionally good. Her skin's elasticity was clearly revealed and it appears very sharp. However, one could only understand this beautiful woman's inside through being in close contact with her for a few days. She could just be as venomous with her words as you wanted. If not, how could she still be unmarried at this age? Just that mouth of hers made many unable to tolerate her. Seeing that Zhang Ye was at home, Wang Aimin cleared her throat and laughed without a smile. Kid, are you trying to play hide and seek with me? Why did you not respond when I was knocking on the door? Are you playing dead? Zhang Ye turned slightly over. Landlady, you came. Wang Aimin conveniently sat down in the living room with a smashing sound. She slammed a calculator onto the table. Zhang Ye had seen a calculator numerous times in the past. Previously, it was a Casio brand, but now it has changed into a new brand he had never heard of. It started with a K. It even looked like a calculator business has even author. Why don't you tell me that? Why don't you tell me that I'm here for? I'm here to collect rent. Her fingers hammered on the calculator in a very worse fashion. You haven't handed over this month's rent. Adding up last month's utilities, I've already calculated them for you. The total becomes 2,582. I've already reminded you several times, not only 1 cent is allowed. I tell you, Lady Jiang, I allowed you to pay rent monthly only because you were from Beijing. Go around and ask which places would not first require you to put a 3 month rental deposit. How much treatment have I given to you? Zhang Ye smiled really. Please give me another few more days. I really don't have any money on hand right now. Once I find a job, I'll give it to you. Right? Rao Aimin elegantly swept her finger. If you don't have any money, get lost now. Zhang Ye pleaded. You know my situation. The rent I previously gave you was all my money I have from my elders. I only have that much money. If you were to chase me away, I can only return to stay with my parents. I've already told them I will move out and be independent once I graduated. How can I just go back if my face is still intact? Auntie, look at our floor. The entire row, commercial and residential apartment are all yours. Your wealth doesn't lack just a bit of money. About this, I have interviewed at the Beijing Broadcasting Television Station this afternoon. If you really become a host, I'll make up a rent once I get my salary. Rami glanced at him with contempt, said, You become a host, cut it out. With a look and a height, who will pay attention to you in a crowd of people? You only dream of becoming all days to becoming a star. You think it's that easy to become a celebrity? If you become a host, then these old aunts will dare not to appear in Spring Festival ceremony tomorrow. Zhang Ye said. Anyway, just give me a few days. Rami ignored it. No way! Zhang Ye said. Don't you see that I haven't eaten breakfast at all for the past few days? I really don't have enough money. What do I have to do with you eating? Eh? Rami said with an inhuman expression. After freezing a long time, he managed to get the landlady to leave. After about 10 minutes, Rami, who was in pajamas, came back. She did not lock the door and immediately used her card to open the door. Zhang thought that Rami was here to reclaim her money, so he carefully said, Lady Auntie, you... Rami threw a breakfast set onto the table and coldly grunted, I could not eat alone, kids. You luck out. But let me tell you, even though jobs are not easy these days, you're still a graduate from media college. How can you not get a job and may not make an end meet? Stop clinging into a single tree till you hang yourself on it. Zhang Yan surprised and quickly said, Thank you, I got it. Rami with her cold, beautiful face by slamming the door. Zhang Yan felt his heart go warm. Looking at the breakfast on the table, it was still hot. Clearly, it was not leftover from his older sister Rao. It was definitely something that she had actually went down to buy after she heard Zhang Ye say that he had not eaten breakfast for a few days. Zhang Ye knew older that sister Rao was someone who was warm on the inside but cold on the outside. She may have venomous tongue, but she still cared about him. Actually, he also understood what older sister Rao meant. However, Zhang Ye has always had a dream of making big since he was young. He wanted to stand on the stage, facing the public. As such, he had never considered doing jobs that involved being behind the scenes. Zhang Ye went out, taking the elevator downstairs. On the street, Zhang Ye looked around. He realized that the road was familiar, yet strange. The billboard commercial were all celebrities that he did not know. Some business jobs were playing the hottest popular music that Zhang Ye had now heard before. As he walked through this familiar yet strange street, he found it hard to adapt. He felt like he did not match this outer world. Many things had changed. Or it could be said that this was no longer the world Zhang Ye saw. Past. It was August. The air was still hot and disturbing. It was not scientific. Really unscientific. Zhang Ye, after all, was a graduate from a prestigious university. Of course, he could not easily accept his reality. What day and age was this? It was no longer an ancient society where superstitions such as demons and ghosts existed. Being suspicious only brought harms. This was something even elementary school kids knew. Everything boiled down to science. One had to firmly believe in the power of science. As such, Zhang Ye's eyes turned solemn. He pulled out a 1 yuan coin from his pocket respectfully, and he threw it up in the air earnestly. If this hit, then this explains that this world's background has really been changed by the game. If it is still, then it says that everything is fake. Ding ling ling, the coin landed on the ground. Hits. Zhang Ye's vision went black. It wasn't fake. Everything was real. That is the end of chapter 1.